Alright, this is Fullest House, first edition, where we are playing Vaettiheim. This is turn 16. Coming off a bit of a break again. Oh, a messenger. They're just thanking Lemuria for their warning against Cetis. I think a little bit of sarcasm or irony there, which I do appreciate. And like, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. We discussed that. Ooh, we found a magic site. Very cool. Wow. What the heck? This is another mage, I think. Possibly also counts for a lab and or fort. We'll have to take a look at this. This is just like ridiculous site luck, this game. I don't know what's going on. We do catch some battles. None of them are ours. Looks like Pangea fights twice against independence in their capital, which is a little unusual. Let's take a look at our current target. It was just scout pinging some... Ooh, okay, this must be a throne. Not our throne, which is good. Not actually sure which throne this is, so we'll take a look at that. Not looking too scary. What are these, like, death blood wizards? Yeah, they're probably just going to spam skeletons, like maybe some death evocations, which could be a little nasty, but as thrones go, not too bad. That's, you know, good news that their thoughts are in that direction. Yeah, Gia has a lot of stuff in their capital. Recruited a lot of these Grove Guard who, I don't know, Minotaurs, at least in earlier eras, usually aren't that great. They're kind of in an unusual place because they're tramplers, they're size 3, so they're not like great tramplers. In this era, at least their attack skill is a little bit better. They do a ton of damage and they, you know, have decent hit points. Anyway, yeah, I don't know how good these particular Minotaur are, but it could be a mistake recruiting all of those. And then I think he has at least some of his sacreds in here, who, yeah, haven't gotten blessed yet, or only some of them have gotten blessed. And just Sermon of Courage. No bless? Is this... Who are you? He's got his prophet here, but I guess... Yeah, I mean, he's just up against Vinemen, so, you know, he probably doesn't need to bless anyone. Maybe he just doesn't want to show off his bless, right? I mean, there's something to be said, right? You know, people are watching. I am very curious. I'll have to go double check. I don't think we've seen their bless, but I could be wrong on that. But anyway, this is a ton of stuff, so he's just going to run over some Vinemen. And I feel like they must have taken some misfortune, or they're just getting really unlucky, because they get attacked again by what? Yeah, just more Vinemen. This is maybe Throne of Gaia related. And this guy's actually like, yeah, an Ivy King. So nature 3, but he just casts Poison Ward, which is irrelevant, and like these guys just ran over a bunch of Vinemen. So I'm sure they do fine there. Like, yeah, he loses a couple Satyr, which doesn't matter, and he loses one Hoplite here, who I think, yeah, are actually more expensive than I thought, but still not an issue. And then we had an unexpected event. So yeah, just some unrest. That's fine. Ill omens, not too much of a problem. So yeah, I'll see you guys after the jump. Alright, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. Before we dive into what we're doing, is want to take a look. Caleb here is raiding out much more effectively. We did find a sub, well, kind of a sub. It's actually our host who graciously subbed into not just this last ditch position, but a couple of others. I think they're also playing Patala, and I think possibly one other one, which, yeah, this is really cool. You know, it can be difficult to find subs for hopeless positions. It takes a certain kind of person that, you know, wants to jump into something like that. But as far as what we're doing, we are setting up for our unprovoked invasion of our peaceful neighbor, and it's entirely possible that we will be repulsed. You know, I don't want to go over all the raids. I think we're going to be able to raid, I haven't worked it out exactly, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to hit everything but Bogarus's forts, not the underwater province, and then we're going to leave this Patala's cap circle alone. You know, we can see that Patala's come out at least a little bit, so, you know, they will get to see, well, assuming that our attack really here is successful, then they'll see our flag pop up, and that'll hopefully encourage them, you know, to retake their cap circle. But of course, you know, we know they have other problems, and it's possible we don't hit a province. I may have miscalculated slightly. So we won't talk about the raids, you know, we'll just watch them as they happen. They should be launching next turn, launching next turn, so they won't be happening next turn. So in 2 turns, we should get to see the results, and we are moving out, you know, our main army this turn, right? So this is kind of what we're bringing to the table. We're definitely going to be adding more caster support. The caster support here is a bit light. I kind of built the infrastructure mostly in the wrong places to support this war, and I think if I were doing this again, I would probably focus like basically not building up this fort was, I think, a mistake, because now we're gonna have to, you know, walk our mages at least a couple of turns up, and they are slow. So I mean, we are sneaking some mages forward. Well, not this one. She's gonna go build us a lab here in this forest, and you know, we're gonna get some more mages out of there. But yeah, we have, you know, some garbage and, you know, another mage sneaking forward with them, so we'll have a little more mage support than what we have. But this is what's on hand. The other big thing, of course, our cap onlys, right, are not sacred. Sorry, are not stealthy. They are sacred, so you know, they can't participate in the sneaking part of the attack. But this turn we are switching over to recruiting our siege strength. This could be too early. Obviously, you know, we haven't won a major battle yet, so yeah, I might actually change this. I don't know. I'll have to think on it. We do want to start knocking down forts and locking down forts, you know, as quickly as possible, because, you know, taking all the territory matters a lot, but, you know, he'll still be able to do a lot of recruitment, at least the first turn of the war, which is not ideal. So quite possibly I'm flubbing this, even if all of our attacks work. We'll see. But anyway, we will bring that siege strength forward whenever we recruit it with our cap-only mages. Probably close to all of them. Maybe not like this one. I feel like this is a better random. I still don't know if Vaettiheim super well, but I feel like this is a fairly important random for us. So I'll probably go through and think about, like, okay, hold on, which one of these mages absolutely I don't want to have die in combat. But we'll bring the majority of them forward. So this is going to hurt us a lot research-wise. But having attempted, you know, a first war not using any of my mages and having that go really poorly, I'm going to, you know, err the other direction this time. So we'll see how that goes. But at least in terms of, you know, what's in motion this turn, we have, you know, our sacreds here, about 30 of them, you know, about the same amount of berserkers. We are bringing forward, you know, less crossbows than I would like. A decent amount of wolf riders, but really only enough for like some like attack rear harassment, which will be difficult because obviously Bogarus has quite a bit of cavalry, and people tend to put cavalry on the flanks. That's usually the best way to get, you know, an attack rear to actually work and get in the back line. So I think our archer harassment will actually be better for getting rid of mages. We will split this to hit these two provinces, and from there we'll probably see what Bogarus does. We'll probably recombine maybe in this province, and we'll actually probably go after this fort first. I don't want to dive right in on the capital. Yeah, I kind of want to see, you know, what his research is. Like, I've definitely, again, you know, an early war where I went straight for the capital, not using mage support, and it went really badly. So, like, let's take it a little slower this time, right? Try to wear him down with raiding, take some of his outlying infrastructure first, force a battle that's like not right on top of his capital. You know, people usually don't want to move out all their mages. Like, they would like to still get some. Obviously, Bogarus has research goals he wants to hit. So, but, you know, if we attack his capital, like, all of his mages are just sitting there. So, yeah, he's going to use them. So anyway, that's some thoughts on the coming invasion. We'll talk more about it in the future, obviously. This is the throne that Bogarus pinged, right? So that's good news. There's a good chance we may actually delay a turn or two, right? Because there's a lot of his units stacked up, and there's a fair chance he moves out what he has in his capital to combine and then goes and hits the throne. Now, I think he'll probably crush the throne, but there's just something to be said. Like, we might, you know, if it all times out right, it's a citadel, so we probably can't break it fast enough, even with, you know, our nice siege strength giants. But possibly, you know, we could make a play for trying to pick up his capital while all of his forces are away. But, you know, even if that's not the case, even if we can't break it down fast enough, like, there's a fair chance he'll take at least a few casualties against the throne. I do think he'll probably beat it pretty handily, but it's still going to be, you know, one of our best opportunities to attack. So we'll see. The plan is, you know, fighting in 2 turns, but we may delay 1 turn, probably no more than 1, maybe 2 turns. I don't know, we'll see. But I feel like delaying would be a mistake, so probably no more than 1 turn. And then in terms of getting lucky with our sites, so yeah, an Azir Academy, I'm almost positive does count for a lab. In fact, actually, yeah, it must count as a lab, because this is the mage that site searched this turn, right? And there is a lab here, and, you know, this mage definitely wasn't building a lab. So that was really lucky, right? Some infrastructure that we don't have to build, like on top of our fort, and of course, like, it gives us a water gem, which we like, and we can recruit, you know, these Azure mages, which like mostly don't matter. Like we have plenty of water access, but they are amphibian, right? And they give water breathing, so they definitely will be useful in terms of like taking this lake. Which is not a huge deal, but a nice thing. And, you know, we aren't really planning on messing with the lake, just considering that, you know, I mean, there's not really a lot of underwater territory in general. And, you know, obviously Relay is interested, and there's lots of nations that are going to be way more interested in the water than us. So even with these Azure mages, I don't really think it's going to be worth it for us to try to go underwater, but it's a nice thing to have in the back pocket. So getting incredibly lucky with the sites and the mages this game. And then probably the only other thing of note is that Calum lost this province to some earth elementals, so we're just going to be recruiting up, you know, some of our berserkers. Will probably do like 1 or 2 more turns of recruitment and retake this. Like I don't think Marignon's going to go after it. However, well, I mean, I think Pangea is pretty busy now, so we probably have a few turns, but it's not impossible that, like, Arco, like, I don't know who has this cave currently. Anyway, we want to try to retake this as fast as possible, but I do think we have a few turns before we have to worry about it. And then finally, we will get Alteration 4 before the start of the war, so that's very nice. You know, we'll talk more about how exactly we're planning on using that, like, once the war starts. But yeah, I think, you know, we're going to have a good level of research here for this war. It does depend somewhat on what Bogarus has researched, so yeah, we'll see how that goes, and I think that covers turn 16. Alright, this is Fullest House, 1st edition, where we are playing Vaettiheim. This is turn 17. Dread level is kind of high, because I think we're going to have to launch an attack here this turn. Satis joining in a little bit on mocking Lemuria. Lemuria is considered a very strong nation, whereas late age Satis is one of the worst nations in the game, arguably. You know, I mean, people argue about this stuff back and forth all the time, but I think most agree that Lemuria is significantly stronger than Satis. Just the normal kind of back and forth fear-mongering. Definitely if Satis takes out Lemuria, that, you know, I would sit up and take notice of that, because that means that the player is probably pretty decent. We finish our alteration research, and then also thaumaturgy and blood magic, since we were just researching level 1 for those. Some profits go up. We witness a battle between Calum and Marignon. So yeah, let's see here. Just some bird raiders against, yeah, a fairly large Marinese army. Some crossbowmen, some infantry, a few other sacreds, a few commanders, a few mages. Probably just here for blessing. Yeah, this guy has a little bit of fire. Not sure what these guys are here for. I don't see any blood slaves yet. So Marignon at least didn't bring any blood slaves with this. Maybe he's not doing any blood hunting yet. But yeah, there's more than enough stuff here, and you know, there's only a few birds, so they should come away with that, yeah, pretty easily. They only lose 1 light infantry, so that is 1 bird raiding group down. We had some unexpected events. Let's see, men lost in the woods, a dryad. Ooh, we might be able to, yeah, get some nature extra nature magic here, so we'll have to move a nature mage into that province and hope for the best. And then brigands, some unrest. We don't love that, but you know, it's okay. It's at least not one of our forts. And then there were 2 worldwide events. The sun grows dim. That's unfortunate. So it's darkness right now. We're gonna lose a lot of money. Everyone's gonna lose a lot of money. This will only last for a few turns, I think. And then, yeah, okay, Throne of Gaia has gone back to sleep. We're glad about that. And then we witness a couple battles where Bogarus is getting attacked by independents, and then somebody was discovered. Let's take a look at this discovery. This, I think, is one of our raiders. Unfortunate. Yeah, and so this is patrolling, and this is, we're trying to sneak through one of the forts. It's dangerous. I knew that this was dangerous. I was hoping, you know, it's a pretty small group. I don't know the exact mechanics. We'll see. Maybe I'll look it up. But you definitely, like, the larger the group is, the more likely you are to be patrolled out. And, like, yeah, we pretty much just triggered the war right here. And unfortunately, you know, not a good start, losing one of our commanders and some of our raiders. So yeah, we will not be delaying, I think, and we're just gonna go ahead and go for it, you know, even though the jig is up. So that's unfortunate. I was hoping, we do have a bunch of scouts running around in this territory, and like if one of our scouts got caught, like, you know, people scout all the time, that's totally deniable. But you know, something like that, not so much. And then yeah, this is more Throne of Gaia stuff. And like, yeah, it looks like there's actually like a site searcher here, probably. I can't imagine he gets that mage for part of his province defense. And like, this could be good for us if this actually gets taken, and it's a little dangerous. Like, earth gnomes are not that good. You can see even just the single cavalry is doing decent. But I think that darkness actually probably helped these guys. Yeah, so that's really unlucky for Bogarus, right? Because these guys, they're blind and they have spirit sight, right? So earth elementals, they don't care about the darkness. But, you know, the human province defense definitely does. So this attack was more dangerous than normal. And then I'm assuming that this is probably another Throne of Gaia attack, which is slightly annoying because we are planning on doing some raiding. Oh wow, maybe this is... No, this is a different kind of mage. So yeah, we'll have to double check. I mean, we'll find out in the coming turns exactly what makes up Bogarus's province defense commanders. But it looks like I'm thinking those are just sight searchers. And like, yeah, there's a pretty good chance that, yeah, the earth elementals are going to come away with this. These are not even quite full sized. Yeah, I think these are like 4, yeah, size 4. I don't think they got knocked down in size. But, you know, I mean, this is only like 6 PD, probably kind of good news for us. Although some of our raiders will also struggle against earth elementals. In fact, in a lot of ways, we struggle worse against earth elementals because we're small little goblins. But we can hold off on raiding a lot of those provinces until later. And yeah, I'll see you guys after the cut. All right, this is the situation and what we're doing about it. We've got a bad feeling about this war. Maybe should have picked someone, you know, that kind of more failed expansion. If we'd moved a little bit quicker, maybe could have gone after Abyssia, but I mean, I don't know. Our capitals are so close here with Bogarus. You know, like this territory would suit us a lot better in a lot of ways, so I still think this is the right war for us geographically, but I might be giving like too much weight to that. Because, you know, I could tell that this player, you know, clearly knew at least some of what they're doing. And, you know, I like the recruitment. They have a lot of heavy cavalry, which is going to be problematic for us. But, you know, as you can see, we're going for it. We've already obviously had an inauspicious start, you know, losing. This is where we lost one of our commander rating groups. And the earth elemental attacks are like actually kind of unfortunately positioned. So, you know, we were going to raid this province with, you know, one of our commander raiding groups, but I don't think there's any way that they take out some earth elementals. So we're actually going to send him down to this because this is now a fairly dangerous raid in a lot of ways. I think there's a fair chance that he splits out and starts to move out his heavy cavalry to counter raids. So in addition to the fact that we may fail against some province defense, you know, there may be some heavy cavs supporting it, in which case, yeah, our raiding groups encountering those will definitely fail. He may also, you know, choose to concentrate, you know, aiming to come after us, and like that's okay. I think we can win a major battle, you know, even if he brings everything. So we're not going to split like our main force because now like this whole operation is a lot more dangerous, right? Because we've lost the element of surprise in a lot of ways. Obviously, we've still had a lot longer to plan for this war than he has, but you know, no turns of planning is preferred to 1 turn of planning, so he's definitely gonna get 1 turn to try to trip us up. So, you know, this is what we're sending in. Like I said, a little light on the mage support. We may actually struggle to get everybody blessed, all of our sacreds. We're just going to be doing like a mix of, it's pretty much all point buffing, right? Quickness, moss body, protection. Is really the main things. And because we pack in so tightly, point buffing is a little more effective on Vaettiheim than other normal nations. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Like we have a mix of stuff, and then we have more crossbows, significantly more crossbows, along with, you know, some of our garbage coming up with a little bit more caster support. And, you know, we are still moving forward some other casters. Our giants are going to hold out this turn. We are really constrained money-wise. Everybody's going to be constrained money-wise, so, you know, that's sort of a wash. But if we go to, yeah, here's our income. So took a huge hit. So, you know, we're not recruiting a mage over here, and like we're still recruiting, let's see, yeah, a few of these berserkers, because we'll probably send them in. We'll have 14 next turn, which against, you know, these earth elementals, I'll have to double check. And actually we probably didn't witness, yeah, because this was a Kalian province, so we don't actually know how many earth elementals are there. If there really are 5 full-sized or 4-sized earth elementals, that could be a bit problematic, but we should be able to put like some useful buffs on our guys, so I think it'll be enough. So anyway, we still want to recruit that. We still want to grab this province. It's a nice province. Abyssia is not completely dead, but probably not long for this world, right? In which case there's a decent chance that Arco picks this up. I think, you know, Calum is going to be having problems, right, with Marignan moving in, so we're moving our scout on top of the capital to see that fight. So yeah, maybe I might be jumping the gun going next turn. We'll see. I might not go next turn. In the capital, sadly, we're not getting one of our cap onlys, but you know, these Vetties are still really useful mages for us. So you know, she'll probably go try to join the main army, and we are getting a few hurlers who will actually help a decent amount against the heavy cavalry. I was also tempted. We can go into the Jotun Axemen if we really start to struggle with the heavy cav. I think we'll be able to pull it off with what we have currently, but if we can't, then yeah, we'll recruit up some of these Axemen who will definitely be able to punch through their protection. And the rocks, you know, when they connect, and actually, yeah, that's the thing, they cost like the same gold. In fact, yeah, these guys are even a little cheaper, I think. No, they're the same gold, but you know, so they also have an axe, right, even though it doesn't show it, and it does basically the same amount of damage, and they actually have basically the same attack skill, right, which is going to be the main problem. You know, these guys' protection is much higher, but yeah, I just don't think it's really going to matter all that much. So yeah, probably would still prefer the hurlers. So we're going to be getting more of them for siege strength, and you know, potentially to help us if we start failing against the cavalry. We do also have the bugs, which a lot of which deal armor negating like poison damage, which will be quite useful as well against the heavy cavalry, because just mundane heavy cavalry. And I don't think Bogarus has an abundance of nature magic, so it's going to be difficult for them to protect against poison. So anyway, yeah, our garbage is moving out. We'll probably actually sneak and join up with our garbage here, not next turn, but the following turn, and then from there we will probably try to jump on this fort and like force a battle here. We'll probably move out like the majority of our giant mages onto this fort, and maybe try to link up with this army when they move on top of this fort. I still haven't quite decided. We really do, all of our raiding is going to be disconnected, which I don't really recommend, right? So like, while we are going to, you know, cause a lot of, assuming the raids are successful, we're going to cause a lot of income problems and some resource problems for Bogarus. It's not actually going to be the full swing, because we're not going to get any of that gold or any of the gems. So we want to try to connect our raiding as soon as possible. It's going to be difficult to connect through here because this is a mountain pass. So, you know, if we had been able to raid this with our raiders, so again, ironically, the earth elementals kind of helping Bogarus. I mean, also definitely not helping them, since they don't get the income from that province. But it is actually kind of annoying for us, because we would normally be able to draw income. Actually, no, we wouldn't have been able to, because we're cut off by the throne. So really, this is a pretty key province here, because this would, you know, connect us, hopefully, right, to everything that we're raiding. But now, you know, we have these earth elementals, so we're recruiting, you know, a few berserkers here. Unfortunately, again, because I didn't choose to upgrade the fort, we can't get that many of them. We could probably squeeze out like one more, but you know, we have some other recruitment we're trying to do. We'll do another round of recruitment here. Again, we're gonna have enough mage support with the giants, our mages, that it's not really gonna matter, you know, how many troops we have. So this is just more to like keep them busy, keep them off of our mages. So we may move into here first, but then I'm not sure like what our army will do with that turn. So like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's also, of course, going to depend a lot on, you know, how Bogarus reacts and like how well our raiding does. I mean, it's not impossible that like all of our raids fail. Oh yeah, one other thing, we do just happen to have our assassin here, and while I would have liked to wait and, you know, gear these guys out, I wasn't actually really planning on doing any assassinating. This is just way too tempting, because I don't really see any mage support, so there's probably just a single commander here, and I'm really hoping, if we take a look at this guy, what is commanding the patrollers here is this fellow. And I mean, we've seen our Dimvetti fail against cavalry commanders before, so I mean, this is absolutely going to be a dangerous assassination. It may not go our way, but we can definitely assassinate this guy. And you know, if we can strand a good chunk of his heavy cavalry out here, that it's worth the risk, I think. But yeah, it's entirely possible. I don't think he can reach like every province that we're raiding, but certainly, you know, if he splits out from his fort, like he could reach this wasteland. I couldn't reach this forest now, but yeah, so like this wasteland, this province. So, and of course these provinces as well. If he chooses to split, that is of course a little dangerous, right? Because, you know, he could bump into a stack like this. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not sure what probably the right answer would be to move heavy cavalry into the provinces where you're a lot less likely to bump into a giant army, right? The border is more dangerous to try to counter raid on. So yeah, we'll see what he does. So it's probably not going to be the best goblining ever, but we are still hitting, I think, like 7 provinces at the start of the war, and you know, that's respectable at least. Like, we'll see how it does. The last thing is I've altered the research slightly. So we do want enchantment. Enchantment's going to be good for us for, you know, all the reasons we've discussed. But alteration 5 is tempting. It's going to be a little while, right? Our research is not great because point buffing does chew up a lot of mage turns, right? So we have a lot of mages trying to support our armies, and this is going to, you know, tank even further. In fact, you know, talking this through, like, maybe I do want to switch this, but alteration 5 would be really nice. You know, we have potential thoughts about maybe Mother Oak someday. It looks like PNG is not doing very well, who is another major contender for Mother Oak. I'll have to look at some of the other nations. I'm less familiar with Late Age, so I don't know how many nature powers there are that we're going to have to compete for Mother Oak, but our nature income is decent. Like, we could certainly cast this if we get the research. And then, like, Wooden Warriors is a really nice buff for us, and so it's like we're so close to level 5 alteration. This, I think, maybe a bigger impact compared to enchantment. That said, we don't have a ton of Nature 2 mages. It's a relatively common path for us, but not super common. And you know, if we get some enchantment research, our death mages are going to have a lot of other things to do. So definitely a trade-off. We'll see. I might actually switch that. Haven't decided yet. But yeah, I think that covers turn 17.